Right, let's see if this works. This is St Leonards Hospital. I grew up round here, but I've never actually been here before. My great granny died in here when it was actually a hospital. But anyway, we're here because I've got to have some treatment on a hip, which seems to have buggered up. But while we're here, as is often the case with me, I'm going to do some ecology. Once upon a time, all the ground around here, there's a poodle on a roof over there, look. I don't know where the camera will pick him up. Once upon a time, all the land around here was heathland, and there's relics of that here. Probably still existing because, yeah, parts of the site are still hospital. Most of it's been developed for other uses. But under the hospital bits, the grounds maintenance is lowest common denominator. They do as little as possible, as cheaply as possible. So some of the heathland species are still going on. So this is Ling, Caluna vulgaris, one of the heathers. And here we have a ground living lichen. There's other species in here as well. There's black sedge there. Underneath this oak tree, things get a little bit more samey, a bit more anodyne, a bit more usual. But in various places, like here where there's droughting going on, we've got more mosses and more of the lichens. Can you see it? Mosses all through here and on this bank where the mowers go up and down. That's probably all they do is just mow it. There's a bit of bell heather there, which says dry conditions. More bell heather. More bell heather. Remember that bit I just showed you was ling? And then we've got the sedges, and here we have ling. Come on, focus. And bell heather together. So yeah, remnants of heathland vegetation. Here it's different. Over here we've got more of this lichen, and we've got these little fine leaf grasses which can't compete with the bigger, more coarsely growing species. And you've got lots of different broadleaf leaves under there. Call them forbs, where you get those in grassland. So this is all, to an anorak like me, quite interesting. Here's day 31. And in this area a lot of heathland has gone over to this, which is scrub, with invasive Scots pine, which in this part of the world is not native. It got displaced in pretty short order after the last ice age off the before the English Channel broke through, and was reintroduced in about the 17th century. Someone's cared enough to put a bird box up there, look. And we've got all the stuff from the grounds maintenance all dumped in there. Cotoneaster, non-native. Then you've got gorse, which is native, and even at this time, back end of the year, it's flowering. So there's nectar sources for those fine days when bumblebees and things come out. And look at the sward here. Heather and this lichen. The lichen wouldn't survive if lots of people went backwards and forwards over here and trampled on it all the time, because it's rather fragile, especially in the summer when it gets really dry. And it also wouldn't survive if they didn't mow this, and they obviously mow this really regularly. So if they stopped mowing it, as is the fashion these days, it would grow over the longer grass and the lichen would get out competed and would vanish. Right, let's stop that there. You can see on this area of sward here, area of verge, got areas of the ling and the bell heather. That's bell heather, and you can see the soil underneath greening through. So you've got flowers of bell heather there. See, the soil greening through is really sandy. So this once upon a time was heathland and had been heathland for many decades, probably centuries. It's the same all the way through there. Right, so let's show you some more bits around here. This is St Leonards Hospital, and that is obviously Moore's Manor's care home. Don't know anything about it. But this is the hospital, the bit that remains as hospital. The whole site once upon a time was hospital. As I think I said in the last video, my great granny died here at the age of 104. But over here where you have this development, you've got different grasses, and you've got fairly standard planting, hedgerows, native species, which is nice. Hopefully British Isles provenance and raised in the British Isles. But if you look at the grass here, it's totally different from where we just were and where we're going in a minute. See, the species diversity is much, much lower because you've got the competing factor of the amenity style grasses, which tend to grow much more rankly, much more vigorously. And I suspect this would have been turfed. So they'd have been sown on the site where the turf was raised, and then the turf laid on this site. More of it here. Where are we going now? In this area over here. This is where I've just been for physiotherapy. It's literally an old barn. And you can see the structure inside, but I didn't film inside. And here we have an area of waste, inverted commas land, which has probably got services underneath. Possibly all derelict. And here you've got a bay tree, which is doing very poorly because the soil is probably very sandy, still low in nutrient. But you can see how this is being managed differently. It's being cut, and the horizon is dropped. And if management is kept like this, you'll slowly get an increase in nutrient levels. But it's very possibility that if you come back here during the spring, you'll see a range of forms which are different from the area we've just seen, even though the two areas have arisen probably from semi-natural vegetation in the same way over a similar period of time, just by being mown, because that's tidy, inverted commas. But where you're thinking about biodiversity, tidy and close mown can sometimes be good. Because you've got here, this is cut longer, and as you can see, it's dropped. You've got the ling here, see the smaller flowers than the bell heather we saw earlier? And there's bell heather right beside it, look. Can you see it? First time I ever tried to use a phone to make a video. And all through this area, even though it's probably got services underneath, which is probably why it survived. You see all the manholes all the way through, and all the sort of lumps and bumps. All the way through, you've got different species, which is rather nice. So here you've got biodiversity that's descended from the original heathland, which has been heathlands probably since Neolithic times, all the way through the Romans and all the way through the Anglo-Saxons and everything, heavily grazed, keeping the nutrient levels down and drought levels in the summer high. You've got vegetation which has descended from that, still extant. And I think that's important. It's important to recognise it, and it's important to conserve it. Whereas over here, you've got some improvements gone on. You've still got a bit of diversity. This is longleaf planting, not longleaf planting. I can't remember the name of it. It's the planting which you find on seashores. And over here, you've got an area which was obviously previously developed and has gone over to scrub. Let's keep this lady out of the the thing, and you can see it's developing as scrub, developing as woodland. But it's possible that this site still has similar interest to that area there and the area at the front. The area of interest which is unregarded is still home to a variety of wildlife as well as the flora. But it's possible that this area here will be labelled as brownfield site because it has been previously developed, and then will be developed into more healthcare provision, hopefully, if not that, houses and private institutions to make money, such as Moores Manor. But anyway, so I thought I'd show you that while I'm here, whether that be one video or two, whether it'll even work, because it's the first time I ever used a mobile phone to try and shoot video. And if I was feeling a bit more spry, I might hop that fence and wander through that area over there and see if there's anything of interest there, although that's not being managed at all. Oh, that's interesting. Someone's planted a heather at some point. That might be St Daviox heath, which is not native to this area. You see how different it is? I'll have to go and look that up. So that's a planted heather. And there's more of it over the other side. Someone at some time has cared enough to actually plant a decorative heather to make the site nicer. More there, more over there. And over there we've got more of the landscaping in the care home.